Attention Mountaineer family. Welcome to the Kennedy Creative Arts Center's Lyle B. Clay Concert Theater at West Virginia University. The commencement ceremony is about to begin. At this time, please locate the nearest emergency exit. Please silence your cell phones, tablets, and other electronic devices, and turn your attention to the outstanding students who are the focus of this day. This is their moment to shine, so please give them and their many accomplishments your full attention. Now, let's get ready to welcome our graduates.
Today, we celebrate West Virginia University's 2022 May graduates, 152 years after Marmaduke H. Dent became the university's first graduate. Please welcome West Virginia University College of Creative Arts candidates for graduation. And now, please welcome members of the Platform Party. John Hendricks, Associate Dean. Dr. Michaela Myers, Assistant Dean. Allison Helm, Director, School of Art and Design. Dr. Michael Ibrahim, Director, School of Music. Joshua Williamson, Director, School of Theater and Dance. Tanya Miller, Vice Chair, WVU Board of Governors. Dr. Paul K. Kreider, Vice Provost. Dr. Keith Jackson, Philip J. Faiani, Falbo Family Dean. And Matthew Van Dyne, Speaker. Jessica Morgan, University Marshal, carrying the university baton. And Mary Ann Reed, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. Please rise for the singing of our national anthem, performed by Faith Craven. And please remain standing for the singing of the Alma Mater. You may be seated. Please welcome College of Creative Arts Dean Keith Jackson to the podium.
Good afternoon. As you just heard, my name is Keith Jackson, and I am the Philip J. Faiani Falbo Family Dean for the WVU College of Creative Arts. Provost Reed, Speaker Matthew Van Dyne, members of the Platform Party, my faculty and staff colleagues, parents, family members, and guests of the graduates, welcome this afternoon ceremony and thank you for attending. To the College of Creative Arts graduating class of 2022, I welcome you and congratulate you on reaching this important and exciting milestone. Now, normally for graduation, a dean wows the audience with eloquent brilliance while the crowd gets bored waiting to hear the names of the graduates. Personally, I like to make food analogies and talk about this being the dessert at the end of a great meal. However, when I think of those graduating today, I think of movies. Specifically, the first two Avengers movies. You know, lots of good-looking movie stars, snappy one-liners, superpowers, intrigue, and of course, a seemingly unlimited budget. But then at the end of Infinity Wars, the blip, like we experienced on March 13th, 2020, a Friday the 13th, might I add. Now, Disney took the easy way out, and they just jumped ahead 5 years at the beginning of Endgame. But you lived through the blip and persevered. Several of you actually lost loved ones, and we all missed important life events. We can never forget that. While analogies to some TV series like The Walking Dead and Stranger Things could be appropriate for that time period, I think it is time to focus on one of the bright spots, like Joe found in the wonderful animated feature Soul. As a society, we started to realize the importance of connection, and that means the importance of our shared culture. Like Joe did in the movie Soul, we realize the importance of our spark. So as you wrap up this movie and move on to your personal sequel, I want you to remember what alumnus Michael Chiodi told some of you. Artists are essential workers because the arts are essential. Remember that whenever your spark starts to flicker, you have been through worse. Now, to helping us to enjoy the credits of this epic film adventure, I welcome back Professor Christina Olson, our reader for the day.
At this time, we recognize the outstanding graduates from the College of Creative Arts. These students were selected not only for their academic achievements, but also for their success and creative endeavors in their respective fields of study. From these three outstanding individuals, the college selects one as the 2022 Outstanding Graduate for the College of Creative Arts. Students, as your name is read, please stand and accept our applause. First, from the School of Art and Design, we would like to recognize Lauren Cook. Originally from Eastern Ohio, Lauren is completing her Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in electronic media, along with a double minor in painting and interactive design for media. Lauren has been included on the President's List each year since arriving at WVU and will leave graduating summa cum laude. Lauren's digitally created artwork in animation, video, and digital illustration is without peer in the electronic media program. Inspired by real-life experiences, Lauren's work draws on memories of challenging personal events and combines them with a love of fiction and digital art making to create illustrated stories that are allegorical in nature, relating broader themes of emotional struggle and endurance. Lauren's award-winning animations and videos have been included in numerous exhibitions at WVU. Her work has been selected for the School of Art and Design's annual Juried Student Exhibition in 2019, 2020, and 2021, with her animation Falling winning the Dean of Libraries Award in 2019. Her works have screened at every edition of the West Virginia Mountaineer Short Film Festival during her time here, winning 3rd place in the student competition in 2019. That same year, her work was included in the Faculty Student Mentored Research Awards competition for her exploration of the animation technique of rotoscoping that focused on issues of isolation and depression during the pandemic. In 2021, her work was chosen to represent the WVU Intermedia program at the College Visiting Committee meeting. Most recently, she earned Best Artist by a peer vote within the Mon River Games Capstone Studio class. She is actively pursuing a career path in the animation industry. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us congratulate Lauren for being named the 2022 Outstanding Graduate from the School of Art and Design. And from the School of Music, we would like to recognize Dalton Kendig. Dalton is a violinist and fiddler from Hedgesville, West Virginia. He is graduating summa cum laude with a major in music education and a minor in Appalachian music. In addition to being named the Outstanding Graduate in Music, Dalton is also receiving the WVU Foundation Outstanding Senior Award, which is given to only 1% of all WVU graduating seniors. While studying at WVU, he has performed with the WVU Symphony Orchestra, Shepherd University Community Orchestra, Two Rivers Chamber Orchestra, and with the WVU Mountaineer Chorus. Dalton has been a transformative presence in the violin studio and in the College of Creative Arts. He has reached into the violin repertoire so often focused on a few canonical composers and brought forward pieces by female and BIPOC composers, spotlighting them with engaged public performances. He has been the voice of classical music as a DJ on WVU's radio station, The Moose, using his deep bass voice to joyfully guide listeners through diverse pieces. And he has used the violin to engage with communities throughout West Virginia in fiddle performances with the WVU Bluegrass and Old Time Band and the Shane Masters Band. After graduation, Dalton is planning to work at Broken Arrow Bible Ranch in New Mexico for the summer and teach middle school orchestra. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us congratulate Dalton for being named the 2022 Outstanding Graduate from the School of Music. And from the School of Theater and Dance, we would like to recognize Presley Lynn Wyman. Presley Wyman is graduating with a BFA in Design Technology, emphasizing stage management. Her WVU credits include a film of King Lear with West Virginia Public Broadcasting as First Assistant Director, Sweet Charity, Indecent, Insect Play, Airness, 35mm, as well as many others in both stage and production management. Her professional credits include Christmas Carol, 39 Steps, Charlie Brown Christmas for West Virginia Public Theater, and the workshops Ghost Brothers of Darkland County and Elvis the Musical with West Virginia Public Theater in coordination with Broadway licensing. The King Lear and Ghost Brothers of Darkland County projects have been streamed nationally and are poised for further development or distribution. Presley is continuing her work for West Virginia Public Theater this summer on The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, and is pursuing opportunities for touring in the fall and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us congratulate Presley for being named the 2022 Outstanding Graduate from the School of Theater and Dance. At this point, it is my pleasure to announce that this year's recipient of the Outstanding College Graduate Award goes to Presley Wyman. Presley, please come up on the stage to accept your certificate. Please welcome Associate Dean John Hendricks to the podium.
There are many individuals who have played important roles in the lives of each of our graduates. Through teaching and mentoring, our faculty have inspired you to succeed and reach your goals. I'd like to recognize the College of Creative Arts faculty. Faculty, if you're here on stage or in the audience, please rise and let us show you our appreciation. At this time, I'd like to recognize individual faculty members who were recognized this year for their outstanding contributions and were selected for these honors by the administration and their peers. I ask them to please rise if present as I call their names, and I ask you to please hold your applause until all have been introduced. For the outstanding faculty service, Professor Jonas Tolmes from the School of Music and Professor Maureen Kadar from the School of Theater and Dance. Outstanding faculty teaching, Professor Breanne Taylor from the School of Theater and Dance. Outstanding faculty research and creative activity, Professor Michael Sherwin from the School of Art and Design, and the Adjunct Faculty Excellence Award to Professor Brian Wolf from the School of Music. Please congratulate these individuals for their excellent contributions. And now would you please welcome Assistant Dean Makala Myers to the podium.
Each year, the College of Creative Arts sponsors faculty student mentored research awards to honor students for excellence in faculty-mentored creative research and scholarly works in the arts. The primary criteria for these awards are based on exceptional work through mentored research in the arts. This can be evidenced through exhibitions, performances, publications, or any other form of scholarly, creative, and research work related to the arts. These projects can still be viewed online and were adjudicated by the deans of the college and the 4 directors of the schools and the art museum. There are 3 categories: undergraduate, graduate, and collaborative. The winners were announced at our visiting committee meeting April 8th. Recipients received a cash award in addition to a certificate of achievement. The honorable mention on the undergraduate level was awarded to Elizabeth Rockwell, a graduating senior with a dual degree, BA in Music and Women's and Gender Studies, with faculty mentor, music professor Dr. Michael Vercelli. The first place undergraduate award went to Zoe Lim, a BM major in music composition, with faculty mentors, music professors Dr. Matthew Heap and Dr. Kyle Simpson. Honorable mention on the graduate level was awarded to Sammy Holloman, currently a DMA performance student, with faculty mentor, music professor Nina Asimakopoulos. The first place graduate award went to Madeline Brody, who is graduating with an MA in art history, with faculty mentor, art and design professor Dr. Rhonda Raymond. The honorable mention for the collaborative award went to Red Klug, currently a BA art history major, and Samuel Hensley, also currently a BA art history major, with faculty mentor, art and design professor Dr. Megan Light. Dr. Megan Light. And finally, the first place collaborative award, which is also supported by the WVU Research Office, went to Catherine Rowe, currently a BM Music Therapy major, and Emily Lair, graduating with a Bachelor of Music in Music Therapy, with faculty mentor Professor Hannah Ivy Bush. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please help me in recognizing these 8 students and their faculty mentors for being selected as the 2022 recipients of the College of Creative Arts Faculty Student Mentored Research Awards. Now, would you please welcome Dean Jackson back to the podium?
As you know, today is a day where we focus on our graduates. However, there are two individuals who have been a major influence on your time at WVU that are starting new chapters. Please join me in recognizing Michael Ibrahim, the director of the School of Music, who's accepted a similar position at a large land-grant institution to our west called Ohio State University. Also, after more than 15 years as director of the School of Art and Design, Allison Helm will be rejoining the faculty of the school. For those who do not know, Allison is a highly respected sculptor with works throughout the nation, including the stainless steel piece that is the centerpiece of our lobby. Thank you, Michael and Allison. And now you're in for a special treat. Today's speaker may be a name you don't know, but I guarantee you have all seen his work. And when I say all of you, I mean everyone who has watched television since the mid-1980s. Now, to be honest, I once fell into the same category. Then I read a little more and thought, I need to really meet this man. In late January 2020, I met Matt Van Dyne. Over the course of one glorious lunch, full of fascinating conversations and a good bit of laughter, I realized this man is a gem. Our students need to know about him and hear his story. So, without checking with anyone, I asked Matt if he would be our 2021 commencement speaker. Well, 6 weeks later, the world stopped. But luckily, 2 years and 4 months after that wonderful outdoor lunch, the class of 21's loss is the class of 22's gain. So without further ado, let me introduce a proud alumnus of the School of Theater and Dance, Matt Van Dyne.
Graduates, faculty, parents, relatives, undergraduates, and friends, good afternoon, and congratulations to the graduating class of 2022. I'd like to thank Keith Jackson for inviting me here today, and thank you, Jennifer Jordan. I'm truly honored. Now, I confess I do not remember who spoke at my own graduation in 1979. And let's hope that's not your experience 43 years from now. I'm just a bit nervous, and I'm nervous because I have such respect for all of you graduating here today. And I'm also nervous because I realize I'm the last teacher you will have before accepting your degree. You are very brave. You have chosen a career in the arts. Now, the path forward will not be easy, but I believe from the bottom of my heart, what you have chosen is extremely worthwhile. I stand before you as what some very, very kind people have said, a person of accomplishment or success. I am from modest means. I grew up in a very rural and not very prosperous part of West Virginia. My hometown, on a good day, has maybe 500 people in it. And however, I must tell you that my hometown is many miles and many worlds away from the career I dreamed of in my childhood and later would pursue in Los Angeles. Now, growing up, there wasn't much available to me in the way of the arts. We didn't live near movie theaters, and the infrequent high school plays were the only live theater available to me, and I loved them. But there was something consistent called television. And television was my magical window on the world. I was completely fascinated by the human experience that was brought into each of our living rooms every night, the comedy, the drama, the music, the news. And I remember being transported to other places, and I would relive those moments in my mind, and then I would sketch them on art or drawing paper to make them real to me. But how could I actually be a part of this world, a world I desperately wanted to participate in? Now, I want to say something here, and what I'm about to tell you isn't to say, look at me, look at me. Believe me, it's not. This is about you, and I look at this as a sort of narrative for you. I had a dream, and to pursue that dream, WVU seemed the obvious and best choice available to me to study as a undergraduate and a graduate. And in 1976, I became a theater major in the second semester of my freshman year. And on a very, very cold February night, I rode the PRT, the Personal Rapid Transit. Yeah, we had the PRT back then. We didn't have cell phones, but we had the PRT. And I rode it from Borman Hall on the downtown campus to the Creative Arts Center right here, the CAC, on the Evansdale campus. And I was here to see the WVU Theater Department's Julie Stein, Stephen Sondheim musical production of Gypsy on this very stage. Now, I had seen this 1962 Warner Brothers film back in April of 1969 on television. Television, my window of possibility, and I loved it. Now, in this story, the character of Mama Rose has a dream to make her daughter Gypsy a star, but what she really wants to be is a star herself. Seeing Gypsy live on this stage was a life-changing experience for me. Suddenly, I could see a future where I could do the things I dreamed of professionally. And instinctively, I knew that the theater training that lay ahead of me could and would lead me to the television and film career I dreamed about. And guess what? You can get there from here. Now, thank you, and when I've spoken to students in the past, I emphasize, if you have any doubts, should I or shouldn't I, then choose something else. A career in the arts requires complete focus and dedication. This must be the only path forward for you. And I believe that you are ready and willing, because you wouldn't be here with me today if you weren't. And that path forward is open to every one of you, be you a theater major, a music major, or an art major. And it isn't necessarily a singular path or a linear path. You may not go from point A to point B immediately. You may likely be led in a different direction. Perfect situations can go wrong, and I know a thing or two about that. But this journey is not going to be without setbacks and disappointments. Such is life. But the journey on the road forward is going to be exciting, I guarantee it. Now, I told the powers that be here that invited me today, I'd be tweaking my address right up until the last minute, true to form. So this likely will be revealing. Perhaps you saw the Kentucky Derby last Saturday. What a timely, timely story. What an inspirational and remarkable story of a horse that was out of the running of the race until just minutes before the window of opportunity closed for qualification. And once qualified, this soon-to-be champion horse was considered to be in last place just prior to the race. But on game day, when opportunity knocked, the preparation paid off. With the steady hand of a skilled jockey helping to navigate and coming from far behind, this horse took the inside rail with precision, focus, and determination. And in the final moments, the soon-to-be champion surpassed the other horses to win the race. Much of success depends on how you navigate on the road to realizing your dreams. I understand that horse. And I also believe even greater success, reward and fulfillment depends on how you navigate once your dreams are realized. So, I bring to you a gift for running your race. I have named them my 7 principles, directives for navigation. Number 1, trust in yourself. Take risks. Number 2, be disciplined and be prepared when opportunity knocks. Number 3, break the rules, not the law, the rules. Don't be afraid of failure. And I know of failure, and I know it hurts, but I believe failure is really underrated because you learn, you reset, you clarify, and you move forward in another direction, hoping for a different outcome. Number 5, do not take no for an answer. Number 6, say yes and work like hell. Number 7, give back. Now, there were some very talented people in my theater classes, and they were very popular, and they were adored by many of the faculty. I wasn't one of them. So if you commiserate with me, you'll understand. And if you don't, well, just hang in there, because if you're one of the adored, I think you'll find something in here for yourself as well. When I finished my undergraduate work in 1979, I felt unfinished. And in that final undergraduate year, a brilliant professor, Albert Tucci, who has since become a dear, dear friend, joined the theater department. Al was and is an exceptional teacher and artist. My senior year, I had the good fortune to see one of his beautifully costumed productions, and I had been an actor in a production he designed later that year, the Three Penny Opera. I was completely intimidated by Al. He is imposing and impressive. So working up the nerve with a few of my sketches and renderings under my arm, in the final hour of my undergraduate year, I approached Al to ask if I might study with him as a graduate student. He quietly looked over my work and said, "Why don't I know about you?" And I amusingly responded, "Well, I've been an actor in your last production," and I didn't gain much traction with that remark. So, taking a long Professor Tucci delay, he articulated, "Why don't I know about this talent, this talent?" Well, it became clear to me he wasn't talking about my acting ability. But I explained to him I wanted to continue my education, and I needed the graduate assistantship to do so. He promptly told me those positions had been filled. But he did concede I could study in the program, but the assistantships were taken. He was firm, and my heart sank. But then, as would happen many times over the following years in my career, I persisted. I told him I could not study without the assistantship, and therefore I would have to move on. I wasn't being manipulative, I wasn't being clever, I was just being completely honest. And I have found when you are honest and authentic, doors open. People want to help you. Professor Tucci reconsidered, and I received an assistantship, excuse me, with conditions. I repeat, be prepared. Be prepared to take a risk, to work around the rules, to not take no for an answer, to say yes to the conditions offered to you, to be disciplined and focused, to fail but reset, and to work like hell. Did someone lose a position because of me? I don't know. But immediately, I was moving in a different direction than I had previously planned, albeit, but a different direction. And the cards fell into place. I owe everything to Professor Tucci, and I never hesitate to sing his praises and thank him. I'm sure many of you will look back as you move forward and realize how certain professors or teachers guided you on your path to success. In the fall of 1981, with my MA degree in hand and a portfolio of my costume renderings tucked under my arm and $500 in my pocket, I traveled across the country to California. Arriving in LA, I searched 2 weeks for a place to live, and I soon understood I couldn't qualify for an apartment because I didn't have a job. And I thought to myself, I must be going about this backwards. I was staying at this kind of mediocre motel not far from Universal Studios. And, you know, with nothing to lose, I called a contact given to me by one of my students at WVU, George Page, another person to whom I am forever grateful. This contact that I had was a wonderful lady who was George's Aunt Jan, the head of art and advertising at Columbia Pictures. And I asked if she would meet with me. And the following day, I was given a walk-on pass to her offices at what is now the Warner Brothers studio. And after reviewing my portfolio, thank you, Professor Tucci, for showing me how important preparation is, Jan called Ray Aguian, an accomplished costume designer and business partner to the famous costume designer Bob Mackie. Ray agreed to grant me an interview that afternoon, but explained there was nothing to offer me in the way of employment in the costume house because, in his words, there was an actor's strike in Hollywood, and in his words, the town was dead. He was a gruff man, and he then tried to talk me out of going to what he called this awful business called show business. I laughed and I persisted. And Greg gave me a list of 3 names to call and instructed I was to let them know that he had sent me with to see each of them. I was quickly learning the art of networking. Now, using another payphone, this time outside of the Paramount Studios, I called the first name on the list, the head of NBC Wardrobe in Burbank, and he agreed to meet with me immediately. He was impressed with my portfolio, but repeated what I had been told before by Ray. There was an actor's strike, and therefore almost no work. NBC was doing the Tonight Show, and therefore not much else. And as I was leaving, I turned to ask a question that I think took him by surprise. I asked if I could use his name as a reference to find a place to live since I didn't know anyone in LA and I was having trouble. And he was dumbfounded, shocked. He then threw open this big ledger and he mumbled, "I don't know why I'm going to do this, but you can begin here on Monday to start getting your hours to join the necessary unions to work in the film and television business." My entire life changed that day. I had taken a risk, broken the rules by questioning in an authentic and honest way about my circumstances, and with some nuance, I didn't take no for an answer. I repeat, be prepared to walk through that door and to say yes to the challenges before you. And there will be many. Within a year and a half, I'd had a difficult time in between, but I got the biggest break of my career. Following my instinct, I called the producers of a show who were given my name, but had hired another person instead. But I reasoned with them, perhaps if things didn't work out, they would consider me in the future. Well, something intrigued them, and they asked me to interview. They altered course, hired me rather than the other person originally given the position, and a 3-month assignment turned into 10 years of full employment and unbelievable opportunity. It was a fledgling show at the time. You may have heard of it, Entertainment Tonight. And a few years later, I had my own office and parking space at Warner Brothers, and where I placed that call outside of Paramount, I later had my own office inside on Stage 28, Entertainment Tonight. Trust in yourself, trust your instincts. You will doubt in your mind, but not in your gut. Suddenly the doors open for me because I believe instinct served me well. Break the rules. Persist. Don't accept no. In time, instead of me chasing the work began to chase me. And work it was. Work like hell. Yes, it's understandable to play around and party when you're young, but just remember, for every person who is playing around and going to a party, there was someone out there focused and disciplined. They're prepared, and they are making themselves continually available for that big break or opportunity. Say yes to every offer you possibly can. Nothing within reason is beneath you. You will develop associations by networking, which is so important, and these associations will become your collaborators in the future, and you will join forces on even bigger projects. And bigger projects will come. An early association for me led to a collaboration with CBS Sports and the upstart E! Channel, requiring me to form a business and to handle the larger projects being offered. My work eventually and unexpectedly became international. You never know who's watching. Because you work hard and you devote your very best, the gift will keep on giving. 20 years ago, I said yes. I was reluctant, but I followed my own rules, and I said yes to supervise and design the 7th and final season of a long-running television show. Today, completely to my surprise, people all over the world have contacted me, finding me through social media because I said yes. My work, or particular designs of my work, resonated and seem to have inspired people in other cultures and countries. They constantly express their kindness, affection, and appreciation. Yes, I have dreamed, but I confess I never dreamed Buffy the Vampire Slayer, of all my collaborations, would be such a significant part of what some would say is a legacy of sorts. And the work, it continues to resonate with younger generations, which is extremely gratifying and humbling. What I help create through collaboration keeps circling back and continues to give joy to others. Now, my journey has not been linear, more circular, and yours may not be either, but don't be discouraged. And I want to say something really important here, and I believe this with all my heart. If you can imagine it, you can make it real. Standing here on this stage, I have circled back. Seeing Gypsy on this stage inspired me in 1976 as a young student, and I did realize a dream, something I imagined. In the summer of 1993, Bette Midler, the actress and entertainer, at long last played the title role of Mama Rose in the CBS television production of Gypsy. And I was a collaborator on the filming of Gypsy, and I worked for the brilliant costume designer Bob Mackie. Bob is the costume designer I emulated and idolized in my childhood. And around this time in the early 90s, ironically, Bob and I were both referenced or featured in an article on the infamous Page 6 in the New York Post about our individual and separate designs for the Oscars. Completely unexpected. My work is different from Bob's. I believe Bob is a genius. I'm not. I admire him, was inspired by him, but I did not try to copy or try to duplicate him. Be you. Forge your own path. Be an original. There is only one you, and the world is waiting for you. Be true to yourself, and the unexpected happens. And I can't help but reference a significant lyric by the late and great Stephen Sondheim, an original if there ever was one. In Gypsy, Mama Rose, on her quest for recognition, sings, "Some people sit on their butts. Got the dream, yeah, but not the guts. But some people ain't me." And it won't be you. You will succeed, and you will give back by helping others along the way. And I'm here to tell you, it is great fun and extremely gratifying watching the results. Go forward, show up, collaborate, trust in yourself, take risks. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't take no for an answer. Thank you, Jennifer Jordan, for making me realize that was part of my career. And enjoy the fruits of your work. Work hard, but enjoy the fruits. Give back by teaching the world, and oh God, do we need this these days, new ways to dream. Now I leave you with a sweet sentiment, a little line from an old Irish prayer. May the good Lord keep you in his arms, may the good Lord keep his arms around all of you, always. Or metaphysically, may the universe keep its arms around all of you, always. And remember, you never know who's going to be watching. Go run your race with focus, determination, and precision, and win. And there's one more thing I wasn't sure I was going to say, but When I was a student here, a graduate student, there was another student who was a couple of years younger than me, and she was in one of my productions that I designed for my thesis. And she worked, I hope, just tirelessly and incredibly hard for me, with me in the costume shop. And her name was Denise Albright Smithson, and she passed away this last spring. She was a good friend at the time. And I wanted to say thank you to Denise. And I wanted to dedicate this to her. And to you, I say thank you and good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy a performance of Simple Gifts.
I will now present the students who fulfill their requirements for graduation from the College of Creative Arts of West Virginia University. I invite Provost Reed to join me to congratulate the graduates. And now, please welcome Associate Dean Hendricks back to the podium.
Before we begin recognizing our graduates, we would like to congratulate those students wearing gold robes today who've completed additional requirements and will also be graduating from WVU's Honors College. Please join me in congratulating these students. Students who graduate with the College of Creative Arts Bachelor of Multidisciplinary Studies degree have demonstrated their creativity, not only through their respective artistic disciplines, but through their own personalized courses of study. Students customize an educational plan by combining 3 academic minors into 1 degree program, and this has prepared each student for a profession in the arts or in one of the many arts-related fields. And now, will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Multidisciplinary Studies in the College of Creative Arts please rise and approach the stage to be recognized. To begin our recognition of College of Creative Arts candidates with minors in music, music performance, and Appalachian music, Alexandra Gabriella Edwards. With minors in art history, ceramics and child development, and family studies, Elizabeth Ann Gray. And graduating summa cum laude with minors in music, music industry, theater, religious studies, and history, Adrienne Catherine McCall. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the Director of the School of Art and Design, Professor Allison Helm.
Class of 2022, School of Art and Design, please rise and approach the stage. For a Bachelor of Arts in Art History, Nicole Archer. Grace Lindsay Belknap, cum laude. Griffin Nordstrom, summa cum laude, and also he has a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Art and Design. Now, for the Bachelor of Fine Arts in Art and Design, Saud Al-Sabah. Al-Sabah, sorry. Chen Chen, summa cum laude. Gina Marie Kuzo. Maria Lorraine Deely, magna cum laude. Katerina Devadan. Bryn Elizabeth Forrest. Grace Hannah, cum laude. Cynthia Hendrick, summa cum laude. Wesley Holliday. Paige Madison Rabowski. Jonathan Stephen Merchant, cum laude. Alexis Daniel Mulligan. Alex Murphy. Jenna Marie Piat. Emma Posey, magna cum laude. Alyssa Christine Stanholtz, summa cum laude. Anna Stolina. Sydney Nicole Thomas. August Stewart Thompson, cum laude. William Henry Thompson IV, cum laude. Finnegan Neil Thornton. Julia Ryan Zapp, magna cum laude. And for a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Art Education, Demetria Evans, cum laude. And Allison Tucker, summa cum laude. Now, for a Master of Arts in Art History, Madeline Brody. For a Master of Fine Arts in Art and Design, Hannah Marie Custy. She also has a therapeutic arts certificate as well. And finally, our student marshal for the School of Art and Design is Lauren Cook, summa cum laude. And now it is my pleasure to introduce or welcome Director Michael Ibrahim, School of Music Director. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, Allison. It is my honor to invite the 2022 graduating class of the West Virginia University School of Music to the stage. Graduating with a Bachelor of Arts in Music, Catherine Roberts, magna cum laude. Elizabeth Marie Rockwell, summa cum laude. Julia Stocking, magna cum laude. Verena Zeisberger, summa cum laude. Graduating with the Bachelor of Arts in Music Industry, Caitlin Callahan. Kirsten Edwards. Cecil Ramal Keel III. Jarrett Lowther, magna cum laude. Braden Ray, magna cum laude. Skylar Christian Stone. Graduating with a Bachelor of Music in Music Education, Genesis Barrios, cum laude. Jacob Blank, summa cum laude. Owen Boache. Micah Boozer, summa cum laude. Dalton Lee Kendig, summa cum laude. Alexandra Markowitz. Sean O'Callahan. Rachel Celeste Pellegrin, summa cum laude. Isaac Stone Price, summa cum laude. Douglas Schaefer, summa cum laude. Joshua Aaron Shepard, magna cum laude. Andrew Simonet. Graduating with a Bachelor of Music in Music Therapy, Kelsey Lynn Kiza, cum laude. Emily Lear. Elizabeth Messianis, cum laude. Graduating with the Bachelor of Music in Performance, Anthony Cole Butler. Simone Jajarian, summa cum laude. Garrett Dyer Gorby, cum laude. Trinity Gray. Nate Kineski, magna cum laude. Emma Julia Lo Carnini, summa cum laude. Heather Marsico, summa cum laude. Juan Carlos Narvaez, summa cum laude. Andrew Strutz, summa cum laude. Graduating with a Master of Arts in Music Industry, Sarah Giles. Graduating with the Master of Arts in Musicology, Kira Browning. Graduating with the Master of Music in Conducting, Mark Wallace. Graduating with a Master of Music in Jazz Pedagogy, Antonio Manuel Duran. Graduating with a Master of Music in Performance, Tiffany Myers. Alicia Rafter. Graduating with a Doctor of Musical Arts in Performance, Matthew Derek Seifert. Zerling Hia. Evan Klein. Gabrielle Oris Padilla. And now the student marshals of the School of Music, graduating with a Bachelor of Music in Music Performance, Faith Craven, summa cum laude. With a Bachelor of Music in Music Therapy, Autumn Jamie Holt, summa cum laude. With the Bachelor of Music in Music Education, Nathaniel Penvin, summa cum laude. Also with the Bachelor of Music in Music Education, Hannah Sims, summa cum laude. And now I'd like to introduce Joshua Williamson, my friend, colleague, and director of the School of Theatre and Dance.
You're my people. And thank you for reminding me the importance of the performing arts through this pandemic. Thank you very much. Would the class of 2022 School of Theatre and Dance please approach the stage to be recognized? Earning a Bachelor's of Arts in Theater, Allison Hoyt. Emerson Minor, magna cum laude. Brandon Michael Russai, magna cum laude. Caitlin Marie Smith, cum laude. Natalie Turkovich. E.C. Joe, summa cum laude. Earning a Bachelor of Arts in Dance, Eden Taylor Canby, magna cum laude. Earning a Bachelor of Arts in Dance and a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Musical Theater, Nash Richard Dawson, magna cum laude. Bonnie Samantha Fox, summa cum laude. Drew Manir Gassemi, cum laude. Earning a Bachelor of Arts in Dance, Mackenzie Jaden McNabb, magna cum laude. Caitlin Rose Moyer, summa cum laude. Lily Rebecca Runyon, summa cum laude. Sarah Elizabeth Walker, summa cum laude. Earning a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Acting, Riley Beringer, magna cum laude. Peyton Grace Bosley, summa cum laude. Sydney Marie Pena. Michelle Christine Schmitz, magna cum laude. Earning a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Musical Theater, Eric Draven Bluto, summa cum laude. Savannah Jordan Crane, cum laude. Caitlin Karpinski. Gabrielle Maria Amelia Pedraza. Mackenzie Grace Wolcott, cum laude. Earning a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Theater, Design, and Technology, Alexis Faith Allenbaugh, summa cum laude. Emily Nita Bishop, cum laude. Charles DeGiorgio, cum laude. Tobias Francis, cum laude. Maggie Elizabeth Hissam. Kylene Elizabeth Kelly, magna cum laude. Levi Main. Tyler R. Roth, magna cum laude. Christopher J. Sheriff. Natalie Eve Terende, summa cum laude. Presley Lynn Wyman, summa cum laude. Earning a Master's of Fine Arts in Lighting Design and Technology, Colleen Doherty. Earning a Master's of Fine Arts in Scenic Design and Technology, Saray Teresa Cole. Abigail Elizabeth Wagner. And announcing the School of Theater and Dance student marshals with a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Musical Theater, Haley Veronica Derner, summa cum laude. With a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Musical Theater, Alexander Ryan Evans, summa cum laude. And with a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Acting, Jordan Carroll Phillips, summa cum laude. Congratulations to the School of Theater and Dance. Thank you.
Graduates. Yeah, that's right, graduates. It has been my pleasure to see each of you walk across the stage and be recognized for this academic milestone. We are proud to say that each one of you is a graduate of the WVU College of Creative Arts. As you know, there are those who have supported you and helped you obtain your educational goals. Always remember and appreciate the love and support given to you by your parents, family members, and friends. There are many people who have worked to make this afternoon's ceremony a celebratory success. These people include the WVU commencement staff, the College of Creative Arts facility staff led by Jamie Woolry, the Dean's Office staff including Teresa Rhodes and Jeannie Friedman, and today's faculty marshals, Jessica Morgan and Christopher Griffin. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. Please also help me thank today's pianist, Lucas Barkley, vocalist Faith Craven, and reader, Professor Christina Olson, for providing their talents for this ceremony. And now, since all candidates for graduation from the College of Creative Arts have been presented, I ask Provost Reed to come forward to officially confer the degrees.
Good afternoon. Will the degree candidates from the College of Creative Arts please rise? I am absolutely thrilled to be here today to celebrate West Virginia University's 2022 graduates. What a glorious day. Each of you stands on the cusp of your future and at the beginning of a new journey, one that will take you farther than you can ever imagine. On this journey, you will face many obstacles, take a number of wrong turns, and have moments of triumph and soaring success. As your wonderful commencement speaker shared with you today, there will be many paths you could take. But if you use your head and listen to your heart, you will find the path that is right for you. You're probably excited right now and maybe a little scared. But don't let your fear of the unknown paralyze you. Get started, get moving, take chances, and if you hit a roadblock, be willing to change course to reach your final destination. Matt Dine's story is certainly an example of that. For him, no was just the starting point. Be confident in who you are and the strength that lies within. You have already met and overcome so many challenges, including, dare I say, a global pandemic. Your experience these past 2 years has made you resilient and adaptive and strengthened your resolve. You've shown grit in the face of adversity. But I also hope that you've gained empathy, realizing how important it is to be kind to yourself and to others who may also be struggling. Life can be hard, but it can also be an absolute joy, especially when you find your purpose, make connections, and open your heart to others. You already have the grit, but now you also have your degree. Your WVU education will open doors for you and serve as the foundation for your future. Wear the Flying WV logo with pride. We are so proud of you and your success. We've enjoyed our time with you and we will miss you terribly. But remember, no matter how far you roam, you will always have a place at West Virginia University. We remain your home among the hills. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the West Virginia University Board of Governors, I hereby confer upon you the degree for which you have been recommended with all the rights, honors, privileges associated with it. As West Virginia University's newest graduates, you may move your tassel to the left side of your cap. Congratulations, graduates of May 2022.
Graduates, remain standing for a moment. University marshals will release you in an orderly manner after the platform party exits the stage following the playing of Country Roads.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, all my memories gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrops in my eyes, country road.